Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of What If Naruto Was a Stray Devil. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 3 of it, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Ollie is breathing raggedly as she stares down her sensei, who doesn't seem to be fazed at all. She ignores the pain she feels across her body and once more charges at him. She gets near him, lashing out with the right hook that he easily blocks, but she knew that as her left foot is aiming at his side. He grabs hold of it, and she quickly jumps up and tries to blow to his face with her right leg. Naruto merely moves the minimal amount of distance away as her foot barely brushes by it, and delivers a devastating punch to her abdomen, and throws her away with contemptuous ease. "Never going to hit me with straightforward attacks like that, Volley-chan," Naruto says teasingly. She growls as she picks herself back up, shakily standing on her own two legs. "Let's call it a day," Naruto says, and she instantly falls down, dirt, blood, and sweat covering her clothes. Her clothes are ripped all over the place, but she doesn't care. Her modesty was something beaten out of her in these spars. "Worrying about your state of dress in a fight is an easy way to become distracted and killed," Naruto told her. He then provided several examples from his own experiences, and she took them to heart. He also told her that, if she ever fights a perverted male in a few years, she could easily kill him while he is distracted. A win is a win. It doesn't matter if it is the most chivalrous or the most dirty, underhanded win ever. As long as you survive, and your opponent doesn't, that's all that truly matters, Naruto also said to her. He said that these are two basic shinobi rules that you have to take to heart. Not doing so will probably end with you being killed. She still has a hard time believing that he is from a different universe, where shinobi battle with all the techniques that he has shown her, along with devils, angels, fallen, and almost all the gods don't exist. He only knew of two gods in his homeworld, the Shinigami and Kaguya. "Sensei, you are brutal as always," she whines as she picks herself up. No longer is she a malnourished, out-of-shape little girl. Her muscles are lithe and strong, thanks to the torture sessions she has been through. Yes, she has concluded it is torture and not training. Albion agrees with her. The stuff she started out with is now child's play compared to now. "Trust me, it's the best way to learn. This is what my sensei did to me," Naruto informs her sagely. "Didn't you say he did that to beat the idiot out of you?" Volley deadpans. "Yup. That too. I feel it is something I have to do to you as well," Naruto says with a grin. She rolls her eyes as she feels like he gets some personal satisfaction beating up his own student. "His methods are working wonders though. It's clear how much stronger you are now. Now if you would just let you start practicing with my power," Albion grumbles. Naruto made a rule early on that she is not to use Albion's power at all until he says so, because she first has to get strong on her own. "Sensei, when can I start using my sacred gear?" Volley asks as she walks over to him, the weights on her arms and legs making even this simple movement torturous right now. Naruto rolls his eyes. "Not for a while. You still need a ton of training in your taijutsu. Battle awareness skills are still lacking. Your magic is coming along well, but increasing your reserves is always a must. We also need to soon work on aerial combat as it seems many fights occur in the air. I also need to work on that as well, to be honest," he informs her. She slouches slightly at his assessment, something he notices. "Overall though, I think you are doing great. Coming from no training whatsoever, this is tremendous progress," he compliments her, making her raise her head with some pride. "Now why don't you get showered and changed, while I dispel my clones, and make us some dinner," Naruto says. She nods her head eagerly, as his cooking is extremely good. She runs back to their house, a normal 2-story house with 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. The only remarkable thing is the location, as it is in the middle of a forest. That's why Naruto bought it, and the surrounding forest as well, so that they could have enough room to train in peace. She asked him how he got so much money, and he pulled out a little orange book and said that he published something from his homeworld. She wasn't allowed to read it though, as it isn't appropriate for her. Still, it seems he has made a lot of money if she judges by the way he chuckles darkly each time he checks his bank account. She actually can faintly hear his chuckling right now, if she listens closely. He always gets that way when his clones manage a breakthrough. He also curses about how he would have destroyed Sasuke team with this new move, and gets a little depressed afterwards. She does her best to cheer him up though, as he has for her. When she walks downstairs after cleaning herself up, she sees Naruto placing their food on the table. Her mouth waters as she sees the grilled salmon, asparagus, broccoli, and pasta set out on the table. She sits down and starts piling it on her plate, not worrying about manners at all. "So, I was thinking about us going on a trip to see the Norse faction, since we are in Germany. Kurama thinks it's a good idea too," Naruto says as he piles on the food as well. To say Kurama was surprised about all the other factions, and how there were a ton of gods, was an understatement. He practically screamed at Naruto for not waking him up to tell him. Naruto simply said that he would have if they had met one. He definitely needs Kurama's help if they face someone like Kaguya here. Kurama was less surprised about Naruto taking in volley, especially after he heard about her background. He is interested in finding out who is stronger though, him or the heavenly dragon. Volley's eyes widen a bit. Why, she asks. Well, we have been here for 6 months, and I am starting to get a little restless. I got used to traveling with Iro-Senin before he died, so it's different just staying here to train. It will also be good for you to see some of the other factions, and learn a bit about them, Naruto informs her. I guess, she says while she plays with her food. The idea of meeting people, not to mention gods, from a different faction, is a little scary to her. Still, if her sensei says it's important, and wants to go, then she will too. Okay, she says with a little more confidence, making Naruto nod. He has been trying his best to bring up the self-confidence and self-worth of the girl, while also trying to not make her arrogant. Apparently, dragons are known for their arrogance, and the Longinus wielders of boosted and dividing gear can take on some draconic traits. He doesn't want to raise an Uchiha. Don't worry about anything. I will be there with you. Besides, you are stronger than you think. It's just hard for you to use me as a measuring stick, Naruto says in between bites. Well, how are we going to get there? Volley asks. I am going to call Azazel, and see if he can tell me where the earth entrance is to Asgard, and then go there, Naruto says with a shrug. When Azazel called several months ago to check up on them and he found out that Naruto is the author of Icha Icha, as it is under the pseudonym the Toad Sage, well, he told Naruto to call him whenever he needs help. Volley nods as it is a very valid point. She doesn't quite know what to think of Azazel. He seemed nice, but he is her natural enemy. She is going to have to meet him a couple more times to determine how she feels. After dinner, Naruto gets up, while two clones put away the dishes, and calls Azazel. Naruto. What's up? Azazel asks. Hey Tenchi, I was wondering if you could tell me where the Earth Gate is to the Norse faction. Naruto asks. Why do you want to know that? Azazel questions with a little shock. Because I want to travel, and visiting the Norse pantheon sounds like a good idea, Naruto explains to him. I could tell you, but it will cost you. Maybe you will let me examine Volley's sacred gear. Azazel asks with a hint of excitement. I swear you have a hard-on when you talk about sacred gears. That's a no, Naruto deadpans. I do not. They are just so numerous and mysterious that I really enjoy figuring them out. Well, then I guess I could do it for the yet unpublished Icha Icha Master that is supposed to come out in 2 months, Azazel says with a perverted tone. Now, how did I know that was what you were going to ask for? I have it right here with me. You can meet us at the gate to get it, Naruto informs him. Deal. Meet at Lone Norway in 3 days at noon. I will show you where the gate is, Azazel says cheerfully. He just struck a great deal. He is going to have to make sure Shimhazai covers for him as he studies this new book in depth. The first 2 he even did reenactments. Naruto hangs up with a chuckle. Azazel reminds him a lot of Iro-Senin, except it seems Azazel gets way more girls, and is a leader. He still can't comprehend why though. It seems that males, no matter the species, are all stupid like ninjas, Kurama guffawed. Shut up, fuzzball. You probably go through my memories to read the Icha Icha series when you are bored, Naruto says. It's true. The great Kyuubi no Kitsune is a closet pervert, Naruto shouts in his mind, laughing. Quite. It's not like you have anything else in this empty brain of yours to entertain me, Kurama huffs as he curls up, obviously wanting to spare himself further embarrassment. Sensei. Volley questions, bringing him out of his thoughts. Ah, sorry Volley-chan. Talking to Kurama. Anyways, we are meeting up with Azazel in 3 days in Lone Norway and he will take us to the gate, Naruto says, getting a nod from her. Okay. Also, Sensei, I heard you cackling as I was walking back. Did your clones figure something out? She asks. Ah yes, he shouts with a smile. They have finally mastered the 2nd stage of fire manipulation. Finally. It took forever. I clearly didn't have any sort of affinity for it at all, he finishes sheepishly. Congress-sensei. Are you going to do your fire release, Great Fire Annihilation Jutsu again? Volley asks with a cute tilt of her head. Naruto rubs her head and says, of course. It should be a lot closer to that damned Ichi has now. Still, I want to see if I can add my fire release to my Rasengan like I did with wind. Volley's eyes widen when she remembers that attack. A certain one-hit kill attack that destroyed a huge area when it exploded. Billions of wind blades packed into it that could cut anything, even Albion said it was impressive. That would certainly be explosive, she states. I know, right? Anyhow, you should get some rest as the next 2 days I am ramping up our training. I don't know when the next time we can train, so we have to get it in now, Naruto says with that smile. Stupid, sadist sensei, she groans as she drags herself to bed, hearing his laughter behind her. Well, he didn't say exactly where to meet, Naruto says as he stands by the river with Volley. He's awed by the scenery here, and the natural energy feels way cleaner than in Germany. It doesn't even compare to Mount Miyaboku though. Volley just takes in the scenery with a small smile on her face. She knows her sensei is big into nature, so being here must make him happy. Plus, it looks way cooler than the forests of Germany that she is used to. Behind her, she feels the telltale signs of a magic circle. She knows her sensei is a stray, plus she probably has people hunting after her too, so she turns around with energy building up in her hands. Azazel appears and gains an amused smile on his face when he sees Volley ready to strike at him. His senses tell him that not only has her magical power grown considerably, but it is much more refined as well. The rumors about the Lucifer genes granting immense magical reserves are probably true. Her body also looks healthy and strong, a clear contrast to the last time he saw her. Finally, she has a much better look in her eyes. Clearly, she is being well taken care of. He looks over at Naruto, and his eyes widen a bit at just how much magical energy he has already. He definitely near the cusp of a low ultimate class devil, and it is similarly refined to Volley's. It also is being used to cover up the chakra, which you can tell lurks beneath the surface as a veritable ocean. Just how deep is the true question. They're probably that large that quickly due to him being the queen of a demon, King Azazel thinks to himself. Those pieces were designed without any restrictions on them. Well, it looks like you two have been training hard. I can tell you both have a significant difference in magical power. Volley, the look in your eyes is much better, Azazel states causally, causing Naruto to grin widely, and Volley to get a small blush of embarrassment at the praise. Hearing that you are progressing well from her sensei is one thing, hearing it from a third party is a totally different matter. Yes, I have been pushing Volley hard with her physical exercises and we have both been working on our magic. Still, while I am not a very good sensor for magical power yet, I can tell you have us easily outclassed, Naruto informs him. Hahaha that I do, but at your rate of growth that may not be for long, Azazel says with a laugh. Seriously, what kind of training schedule do you have? I may have to use it myself, he asks. It's torture. I'm being tortured every single day by my sadistic sensei Volley deadpans, causing Azazel to mock glare at Naruto. Come on Volley-chan, it's not that bad, right? He says a little nervously. Right, he says weakly. At least I cook for you and bring you on cool trips. Naruto says, trying to salvage himself as Azazel's glare gets harder. I guess Volley says with a small smile. She really wouldn't change anything, but her training is torture. Well Naruto, maybe you should allow Volley to do normal kid things, instead of train, Azazel suggests. What do kids do for fun other than train? That's what I did. And pranks. And eating ramen, Naruto questions honestly, getting a sweat drop from Azazel. Do you want to learn how to prank people? Naruto asks, getting a shake of the head in return. It's fine. I enjoy it, sensei. That doesn't change the fact that it is torture, she states with a small smile, getting Naruto to let out a sigh of relief. He thought for a second that he was a terrible sensei. He is modeling it after Iro-Senin and Kakashi-sensei, except taking out all the parts he didn't like about them. Like drinking, peeping, reading porn, arriving late, not telling him how to do things, and going to brothels. Wow, maybe they weren't the greatest teachers ever, Naruto thinks to himself. Kurama snorts. You think, brat? Though you did get this far, so they couldn't have been terrible. Well, your teaching parenting skills aside, did you bring it? Azazel asks eagerly. Of course, Uro-Tenshi. Here you go, he says as he tosses the book toward him. Azazel catches it, opens it up, giggles perversely, and closes it. Well, a deal is a deal. Can you two fly yet? He asks. Yes, though we aren't great at it. We have been mostly working on our magical reserves, sensory skills, and attacks, Naruto informs him. They walk into the forest to not be seen, and Naruto lets out his wings along with the other two. Azazel has 12 pitch black wings that look extremely sleek, and Volley lets out 6 devil wings, annoying Naruto that he only has 2. He wants more, damn it. The other trait of the Lucifer clan. The original Demon King clans have more than one pair of wings, Azazel says as he looks at them. They are also an indicator of a Lucifer's magical prowess, and it is progressively harder to gain the next set. 6 wings is very good for a 13-year-old. Volley blushes again and says, I used to only have 4 when I first met sensei. Come on show-offs, let's getting moving. Naruto says as he is still bitter about only having 1 set. Strolling up to a battle with 12 wings would be badass. Azazel guffaws at the obvious, jealously rolling off Naruto, before taking off into the sky. Volley and Naruto follow quickly behind as Azazel sets a moderate pace for them to keep up with him. They fly for about an hour, before descending into a foggy forest. Naruto can tell by the magic surrounding this place, that this fog is clearly not ordinary. They create this fog so that people don't stumble on this place. The reason why we didn't just teleport here is that we probably would have been instantly attacked. Most pantheons are the kill first, ask questions later type, Azazel informs him. Naruto, while confident in Volley, still moves closer to her in case they are suddenly attacked. He doesn't want to lose his only precious person in this world. They continue to walk for 15 minutes, making small talk, before they stand in front of a giant white barred gate, with a huge circle in the center where the two sides meet, depicting a Valkyrie riding a horse. The fog completely covers to the sides of the gate, and Naruto doubts that going around it is possible. Well, here you are. I am going to do some research now. Have fun. Azazel says with a perverted grin. He disappears in a teleportation circle, leaving the two of them alone. What now, sensei? Volley asks, a little awe of the gate. Let's knock politely, and if they don't respond, kick it down, Naruto says with a laugh. He walks up fearlessly, Volley right behind him, and reaches the bottom of the gate. Halt, traveler. For what reason have you come to the gates of Valhalla? A young woman with golden hair and green eyes, no more than 25, asks as she rides a horse. We seek an audience with the All-Father, Naruto states with a serious tone. Volley looks up at him in surprise, as she has rarely heard that voice. For what reason? The beautiful Valkyrie asks. To see Asgard, Naruto says. The Valkyrie raises an eyebrow. A magic circle appears by her ear, and she nods her head in response. The All-Father, Odin, has decided to accept your request. Please, step through the gates, she says as the gates start to open. The moment Naruto and Volley cross the line of the gate, they are suddenly someplace else, on a rainbow bridge. They are looking past the bridge. Miles away, they can see an expansive city, with magnificent buildings, that glister in the light of the sun. That is Asgard, and the bridge we are standing on is the Bifrost, that which connects the 9 realms of Yggdrasil together. If you want, you can think of the human realm as the main dimension with the dimensions of the gods branched off it. No other godly realm is directly connected to it. You would have to go through the dimensional gap to get here, otherwise the Valkyrie informs them. Naruto nods his head, too awestruck to say anything else. Clearly, gods live here as it is honestly unreal. Volley too can't speak. Let us go. It is best to not keep the All-Father waiting, the Valkyrie says, but Naruto notices a faint amount of annoyance when she said All-Father. Curious. It takes about 30 minutes of walking to get to the city, and another 15 after that to the main building. Still, Naruto doesn't mind at all. He enjoys the new scenery. The Valkyrie points out the mansions of Thor, Loki, and the other gods and goddesses of the Norse religion. Many of the people in the city are Valkyries or servants to the gods. Naruto sees many running around, going about life as humans do. Soon, they arrive in front of the massive doors of the throne room. Volley, a little nervous, grabs Naruto's hand, getting a gentle squeeze of her hand as reassurance. The Valkyrie in front of him pushes the doors open, and the swing open loudly. Inside the throne room, Naruto's gaze is first set on the man on the throne. An old man, like Sarutobi Jiji, his visage screams experience, wisdom, power, locks his one eye onto them, intently scrutinizing every detail. His robes and crown give credence to the fact that he is the one in charge here, and you must give him the proper respect. As Naruto looks around, he notices the Valkyries lining the carpet that stretches over the marble to the throne, with sword and shield in hand, each looking like that of a warrior princess. His eyes drift up to the ceiling, the gold-trimmed dome, with pictures of Odin's heroic feats painted across it. They start walking toward him, still not leaving his scrutinizing eye, and Naruto sees what he presumes to be other gods and goddesses, who are curious as to why they are in Asgard. Many are murmuring amongst themselves, but Naruto can't hear their conversation. They stop at the edge of the steps that ascend to the throne as Odin still gazes down at them. Volley squirms slightly at the intensity, but doesn't show fear. Odin leans back in his throne as the Valkyrie kneels to the floor, while Naruto and Volley remain standing. So Kara, it seems your chest has grown a bit from the last time I saw you, Odin says as he strokes his beard. Naruto almost face falls as the first thing out of this old man's mouth is a perverted comment. Seriously, he should have known better by now. Volley manages to keep her jaw from falling to the ground. She then looks down at her own chest and wonders when she will start growing. Her sensei told her, after much stammering and such, about what she will start going through when puberty arrives. According to him, it will start soon for her. No, Odin-sama. It has not grown since the last time you saw me, Kara states in a neutral voice, not betraying anything. When was that? A couple years ago, right? You really should come back to my personal guard, Odin says with a slightly perverted grin. I have to respectfully decline, Odin-sama. As I am married now, I don't feel it is appropriate to be groped anymore, except by my husband, Kara once more says neutrally. Oh, that's right, I forgot you got married. Well, thank you for bringing me these two, Odin says, and she takes that as a dismissal. She walks over and stands by the other Valkyries. It has been a long time since we have been visited by another pantheon, especially by devils. I think it has been 40 years since the last devil stepped foot in Asgard. What are your names? Odin asks, his voice now radiating authority. Suddenly, everything goes dark for a moment, which causes some commotion before a single beam of light shines on Naruto and Volley. Naruto is in a strange stance, though without weapons, causing the Valkyries to lessen their guard, and Volley looking up at him in bewilderment. Men run in fear at the mention of my name, while women feel a wetness between their thighs. The vanquisher of the Akatsuki and student of Jiraiya of the Sanin. The son of the Yellow Flash and Red Hot Habanero. The Toad Sage. The carrier of 9. The child of prophecy. Uzumaki Naruto Databayo. Naruto yells, finishing his dance. Fireworks go off behind him as his audience is stupefied by the display. Volley is blushing red in embarrassment for knowing him, but she admits privately that it was pretty cool. Auden, for all his wisdom, had his jaw dropped at the display. He asks, in an almost reverent tone, Did you say the toad sage? When Naruto nods his head, Auden quickly appears in front of him, so fast that Volley didn't see him move, with a pen and a little orange book. Do you think you could sign this for me? He questions eagerly. Naruto deadpans the leader of the Norse faction, who is acting anything but dignified right now. Still, he hates formalities too. Sure thing, Yorojiji, Naruto says, with gasps coming from the room. Volley is horrified that her sensei just called Auden a perverted old man. He signs it with his name in beautiful kanji, before handing it back to Auden. Auden takes a moment as he looks at Naruto, before bursting out laughing. Ha ha ha, I like you, kid. You are a real straight shooter. Call it like you see it, Auden says as he heads back up to his throne. Volley lets out a sigh of relief as she looks at her sensei. Truly, he must be trying to get them killed. Now, Auden says with his authoritative voice, but his recent actions made him lose all credibility with Naruto and Volley whatsoever. Why is it that you have come here? Well, Yorojiji, we were in Germany training, and I thought let's go see the Norse faction, so I called up Yorotenshi, and he brought us to the gates. We simply wish to explore and see the beauty of Yggdrasil and meet some new people. Also, by the way, I forgot to mention that this is my disciple, Volley Lucifer, Naruto says offhandedly, causing a stir amongst the Norse crowd. A descendant of the Demon King himself. Ah, I noticed that right away. I saw the original Demon King Lucifer a couple times, and she definitely has some of the same characteristics, Auden says while stroking his beard. She will be a beauty in several years, he says sagely, causing Volley to blush and Naruto to deadpan. So Yorojiji, can we stay and look around? Naruto asks bluntly. It isn't exactly wise to let those associated with another faction to roam around Yggdrasil, Auden muses out loud. Oh, don't worry, we aren't associated with the devil faction at all. In fact, they are probably trying to kill us. You see, I am technically a stray devil. No choice in reincarnation and definitely not a servant. Meanwhile, Volley-chan doesn't know any of them. Also, I will throw in a pre-release copy of Ichiichi. Master right now, Naruto says with a small smile. Done. Tonight, you shall feast with the gods in Valhalla. Naruto Uzumaki and Volley Lucifer, Auden says loudly. The onlookers have expressions of shock, though several that have read the first two Ichiichi series know why Auden caves so easily. They simply are masterpieces the world has not seen since Shakespeare. Naruto pulls out a scroll, and a small poof of smoke later, a copy of Ichiichi, Master is in his hand. Here you go, Naruto says, handing the book to Auden, who looks at it like it's the most precious thing in the world. Please explore to your heart's content. Just don't go in any restricted area. The guards will tell you if it is. Be back here by 5, Auden says before he teleports away, eagerly to start his new book. Naruto and Volley look at each other, shrug, then walk out to explore the city of Asgard. They walk back into the throne room at exactly 5, to see Auden on his throne giggling perversely, while his 2 Valkyrie guards stand stoically on the step below. Ah, you are on time, excellent. Let us go to the Great Hall of Valhalla, where some of our bravest warriors reside, Auden says as he closes the book and puts it inside his robe. On his way down the steps, he smacks the ass of one of the guards, getting a small yelp from her. Laughing, he steps right next to Naruto and Volley, his guards making no movement towards him. Let us be off, he says as he uses a magic circle, which transports them to the front of hundreds of long tables, each full of warriors eating, drinking, and laughing with one another. The one long table in front, facing all the others, is where the gods sit as they watch their warriors with pride. The walls and ceiling are dark wood, while there are thousands of metal bowls that have fire coming out of the top, with its long shaft firmly in the ground. Welcome to Valhalla. The residence of the bravest warriors in all of Yggdrasil, Auden shouts, getting a thunderous roar in response. You may both sit at the gods' table tonight and eat with us, Auden says as he walks to his chair and pulls out his new book again. All around him are the major gods of the Norse pantheon, except one chair left empty. Taking Volley's hand, he says, Come on Volley-chan, let's go find us a seat. They walk down several chairs until they find 2 empty next to each other. They both sit down across from 2 goddesses, who are surprised at their appearance. You must be the 2 everyone is talking about. It is rare that we have visitors, and rarer still that Auden-sama invites them to Valhalla. Auden-sama must think very highly of the 2 of you, the goddess says. She has long blonde hair and purple eyes, with a figure fit for a goddess. It is certainly an honor to be here. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and this is Volley Lucifer, Naruto says with a bright smile. Ah, where are my manners? My name is Sif, wife of Thor, and to my right is Jofan, Sif says. The woman to her right is chocolate-colored hair falling to her butt with golden eyes, eyeing Naruto like he is the juiciest steak ever. Nice to meet you both. This place is amazing, Naruto says in awe. It certainly is. We will be here feasting for 7 days and nights. If you get tired, you simply retire to one of the rooms through the door behind us, or if you find someone you like, Jofan says with a devious smile. Naruto doesn't see it as he is too busy looking around. Now, come. Be a man and drink some mead. Sif says as she thrusts a mug into his hands. Naruto looks down at it, before chugging it in one go, to the shock of Volley and the goddesses. "One more please," Naruto says before belching, drawing laughs from the goddesses, several of the gods surrounding them. Volley watches as Naruto drinks yet another mug of mead, the sway in his step, and the redness of his face, clearly indicating that he is drunk. He once told her because of the Kyuubi he can't get drunk, so she doesn't know what to think. The fox is probably letting his host get drunk for his own amusement. Albion comments with a chuckle. "A drunk Naruto is funny." "Yeah, but a lot of people are crowding around sensei now. He hasn't talked to me in a while," she says, pouting. "You know, you could talk to some of the other people." "I think that was one of the points for him doing this," Albion states. "Well, I am nervous. I have never been around this many people. Sensei is also usually right by my side," Volley says to him. "Warriors of Valhalla." Auden shouts, the entire place becoming silent. "We have feasted for a night together. Now it is time for this month's annual battle to become Freya's champion." His spear, Gunner, appears in his hand, and he slams the butt of it against the ground. The landscape changes as the warriors are no longer at tables inside, but are rather outside with their preferred weapons in hand. The gods in their table are above them, ready to watch the countless thousands of warriors battle in a free-for-all. "The battle," her sensei's drunken voice shouts. "Imma join," he says as he jumps down, using his wings to pull up out of a free-fall at the very last second. "Naruto, this is a no magic or chakra battle. Just pure weapons and physical strength only. All these people have been blessed and have the strength and speed from medium class to upward devils. Also, if you die out there, you will die for real, unlike them. Are you sure you want to join?" Auden says as all the warriors stare at him. Ollie watches on, horrified, about to jump down and help him, before her hand lands on her shoulder. Sif shakes her head and squeezes her shoulder tighter, not allowing her to join. She doesn't want to see this young girl die, and she thinks that the blonde wouldn't want that either. Naruto stands up a little straighter, his redness from his drunkenness going away, and his eyes becoming sharper. "I definitely want to Yorojiji," he yells before in a puff of smoke, Kubikirabacho appears in his hands. He swings it around easily, while all the warriors look on, impressed and awed by the sword. "This is the perfect test for my kenjutsu," he continues. "Hey Evoli-chan. Watch your sensei win this thing, okay?" Naruto says with a grin. She gives him a firm nod, with tears in her eyes. She doesn't want to lose him. "Relax, hatchling. He isn't going to die, and if it comes to it, he will use his magic chakra to get out, even if he has to forfeit," Albion says with a shrug. His words comforted Volley a little, and she is determined to watch him the entire way. A magic circle appears underneath Naruto, and it changes his uniform to what he wears during training, orange and black jacket and pants, with black sandals and his headband on his head. "Come on Yorojiji, let's go," Naruto shouts, getting a chuckle from Auden. "Begin," he shouts, and the field instantly becomes full of clashes. "Are you worried for your sensei?" Sif asks softly. Polly nods her head as she watches him battle a huge Viking with an axe and shield. Naruto nimbly dodges the axe swipe, and retaliates by bringing Kubikirabacho around in a vicious slice. The Viking raises his shield and the sword bites deeply into it. Naruto pulls it out and deflects the axe strike, this time getting to the side of the Viking and swinging Kubikirabacho hard, nearly cleaving the man in half. He dodges a sword strike coming at his back, before delivering an overhead swing that breaks the woman's sword in half, and splits her in two. "Yes," she whispers. "I know that he is very strong, but I can't help but worry," she admits. "You know, my fool of a husband is a battle freak, and even though he is extremely strong, I can't help but worry too. You just have to trust in them that they will get back to you, alright?" Sif says a little sadly. Her husband is somewhere in the 9 realms fighting Auden knows what right now. "Come. Let us return to the feast and watch your sensei win," this Sif says as she offers her hand. Volley takes her hand and walks back to the table, though she keeps glancing over her shoulder at the orange speck in the middle of all the rest. It's been an entire day and the battle still isn't done, but it's about to end. There are 10 people left as the gods and Volley watch on intently. Apparently, these 10 are the ones that win it the most often. Naruto eyes down his opponent, Bjorn, as she remembers correctly what Jofan told her, who has an axe and a metal shield. Both Naruto and Bjorn are breathing heavily with scratches all over. Ollie let out cries of shock several times as Naruto took some heavy wounds in the beginning several hours. Fortunately, they healed after only a minute or so, and they didn't slow down Naruto at all. His kenjutsu has progressed nicely with some actual battlefield experience against capable opponents. His shortcomings were exposed, and he has been working on correcting them, Albion says to her, impressed by how much Naruto has improved. She watches as he trades blows with Bjorn, each trying to get a feel for the other's style. Naruto swings his sword diagonally, and Bjorn sidesteps, and redirects it with his shield, before stepping in and swinging his axe. Naruto jumps back and raises Kubikirabacho, which takes the blow to the side, not leaving so much as a scratch on the blade. Naruto lashes out with a foot, which Bjorn blocks with his shield, but he still stumbles back a little. Capitalizing on this, Naruto presses with his attack, with swings from above to the side and across, raining blows down on Bjorn's shield until it becomes unusable. Bjorn, in desperation, ducks beneath one of the swings and goes in for the kill. Naruto, however, parries with the sword and strikes him down as he goes past Bjorn. He gives a tired smile up to her and winks as he is covered in blood and gore. He takes Kubikira Bacho and, seeing a battle happening 20 yards away, throws it, spinning horizontally, and it cleaves the woman in two. Naruto runs over and, dodging some strikes of his new opponent, delivers a punishing kick to the man's kneecap, destroying it. He walks over and picks up Kubikira Bacho before he quickly makes work on his injured opponent. Well, it looks like your sensei might win this after all, Sif says with a smile on her face. Still, I think another battle might just be beginning, she continues as she looks over to some of the goddesses. The blushes on their faces as they look down at the whiskered blonde with lust shining in their eyes bodes well for Naruto. Your sensei sure is a lucky man, one of the gods that she has met, Honor says with a rueful chuckle. Volley smiles awkwardly, not really sure what to say to that. Finally, the battle of thousands has become a battle of two. Naruto stares down his opponent, who is a whopping 6'7", and easily 285 pounds of pure muscle with a giant shield and axe as his weapons. He sprints at Naruto, shield and axe at the ready, determined to kill the blonde. He attempts to shield bash Naruto, but only hits air. Naruto tries to take advantage and hit his side, but his opponent's quick reactions block it, and he swings his axe downward. Naruto deflects it and counterattacks, leaving a gash on the man's arm. The giant of a man backs up and studies his prey more intently. Naruto, however, just wants to get this over with, so he goes on an all-out assault. Swinging faster than he had before, he slowly but surely chips away at the strong defense his opponent is showing. He leaves numerous cuts all across the man's body, and his Kubikira Bacho sings for more blood. Not wanting to be outdone, the man pushes Naruto back just as Kubikira Bacho hits his shield and tries to lop of Naruto's head. Naruto narrowly dodges, sweat pouring down his forehead as he snarls, and increases his attacks even more. His opponent, now fully on the defensive, only weathered the strong attacks for a minute more before one broke through his guard and caught him deeply in the side. After that, it simply was a matter of Naruto disposing of him. Odin strikes the butt of his spear once more on the ground, and all the dead rise up, and they appear back in the long hall, with tables full of food and meat. Uzumaki Naruto. You have come into our home and pitted yourself against the finest souls in Valhalla, with nothing more than your physical power and skill. The gods of the Aesir and Vanir stand in admiration of your accomplishments, and welcome you as if you are one of us. You have become Freya's champion this month. Please approach our table, Odin exclaims. Naruto, tired, covered in blood, and his outfit ruined, approaches the table of the gods with a big smile on his face. His eyes widen as he sees the beauty of Freya, as he can safely say that she is the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. Standing at 5'7" with long silver hair, purple eyes, in one of the most provocative outfits he has ever seen, a black dress-like thing with a red trim that exposes most of her stomach and breasts. Her body is perfectly proportioned with a chest that is DD cup or slightly larger, and he can tell with every step she takes that it is firm too. If Naruto was any other man, he would have a nosebleed just like almost all the men around him do. But Naruto, the creator of the harem jutsu and student of the legendary super pervert himself, has become inoculated to gaining a nosebleed from looking at a woman. Hell, he considers it impossible for him to gain a nosebleed period. Ollie watches on, herself feeling attracted to Freya. She shakes her head to dispel the thought, but it doesn't seem to be working. It's her aura hatchling. Everyone caught up in it will instantly feel an attraction toward her, regardless of their preferences. It's why most love goddesses, while not super powerful, can definitely be dangerous. It seems she is trying to charm your sensei, Albion tells her. Ollie's eyes widen as she realizes that this goddess is trying to seduce her sensei. Ollie looks to Sif, who has her own nosebleed of golden ichor, as she watches the on curiously. She looks around as literally every single god, goddess, and warrior has a nosebleed except Naruto. Even she has one. And she is 13. Naruto stops right in front of Freya, where her aura is at its strongest, and still doesn't have a nosebleed. Freya takes a napkin that she materializes in her hand, and wipes the blood off Naruto's face. She then pulls Naruto's head down, so that it is directly looking into her bosom, and gives him a kiss on the forehead. When she lets him back up, her smile gets even wider as she sees that he has still yet to gain a nosebleed. Meanwhile, Naruto is internally freaking out. I will not be like Hiro Sennin and get a nosebleed. I am not a pervert. I can do this. She nearly had me there, but I survived. My blood is staying in my body, thank you very much. He yells in his head as Kurama laughs loudly. If it was possible for him to have a nosebleed, he would have. Kid, bang her. She is a literal goddess of beauty, love, lust, and warfare. Can't top that. Isn't this why you practiced at the brothels that your sensei took you to? Kurama seriously says. This has nothing to do with him wanting to see her naked. None at all. Shut up, you stupid fox. She is married. To Odin no less. Naruto yells at him as he looks at the goddess. He gets a cold shiver up his spine as he looks into her eyes, and sees lust with a tint of a desire to break him. My, aren't you an interesting one? Freya says softly, her voice somehow curious with a heavy dose of lust. She leans in next to his ear and whispers, maybe you would like to have a good time with me. Naruto sniffles, not letting the blood that almost ran out of his nose show as he looks curiously at her, and then his gaze shifts to Auden, who was standing there watching. Freya, recognizing where his gaze went, whispers, oh, don't worry about that, old man. We may be technically married, but neither of us has been that way with each other for centuries. He takes lovers, I take lovers, and we continue onward. She pulls away, her intent known clear for basically all to see that she wants this warrior in front of her. Thank you for the magnificent battle, Uzumaki Naruto, she states loudly, adding a sensual tone to his name. All the warriors look at him in jealous, and in respect for gaining the attention of the goddess of beauty. Interestingly, the gods and goddesses look on in pity. Why do you all look at sensei like that? Folly questions. Because dear, Freya's favorite pastime is to break young men, and then discard them like yesterday's trash, Sjo-fan says sadly. As a love goddess, she can understand the desire of Freya, but strives to not do such a thing to her own lovers. Yeah, I am sorry kid, but your sensei is screwed. Freya is insatiable. She will hound after him until she takes everything, and then leaves an empty husk of a man. It's why no male god will be with her anymore. It can take them decades to get over it. Only Auden has been able to resist, and that's because of his power and his other wife Frigg. They also haven't lain together in nearly 600 years, Honor says. Let the feast begin. Auden announces within the great clamor erupts. None of the warriors hold grudges from the battle, as each fought with their absolute best. With the tension is no longer on Freya and Naruto, the former drags the latter away by his hand. Ollie, heeding the words of the gods and goddesses, runs after them. She rushes into the door behind the table of the gods, and grabs Naruto's hand just as he was about to enter a bedroom with Freya. The goddess looks down at the little girl with an amused smile on her face. Sensei Voli pleads, something she hasn't once done before, making her puppy eyes no jutsu a critical hit. Please come back to the party with me. You have to be hungry after the battle, right? Especially since you didn't take your weights off. Freya is slightly surprised that he was wearing weights during that whole performance, but that only makes her want him more. He is truly a man among men. She deserves to have him all to herself. Ollie-kun, right? I think Naruto would much rather take a shower and go to bed with me, right Naruto-kun? I mean, that's how every warrior should be treated after such a long-fought battle, she says with a lustful smile. Naruto is honestly torn right now between the two, and Kurama screaming in his head, to fuck the goddess is not helping. On one side, he definitely wants to have sex with Freya. It would rank right up there in his greatest experiences ever, like being treated like a hero after pain and defeating Kaguya. On the other side, is his apprentice, begging, which she never does, while using the puppy eyes no jutsu, that no man can resist. Truly, he is screwed. Well, I need to take a shower regardless. I don't feel clean whatsoever. He states with Freya's grin getting wider. I heard a rumor that they are going to be serving ramen soon, Volley yells, and Naruto stands straight like he has been struck by a lightning bolt. I guess I can take a quick shower and eat. Resting can always come after, he states as he opens the door to the room and runs to the shower. Thank God in Sama that the bathrooms are modern. Freya looks a little lost as the man she was about to lay with ditched her for ramen of all things. She looks down and sees the little girl with a smile on her face, and she glares at her. He will be mine, she states with confidence. I am not letting you turn him into an empty husk of a man. He is my sensei, and that's the way he will always be, Volley says as she stomps her foot and glares at the goddess. Good luck with that little girl. Your lie will only work once, she states as she walks back towards the feast. Normally, she won't stick around, but with a prize like this she has to. A couple minutes later Naruto walks out, dressed in a suit without a tie, just like he arrived at Asgarden. What? He didn't want to come underdressed. Well, let's go eat some ramen, Naruto says excitedly, rejuvenated from his shower. When he walks back out to the table of the gods, many of them are looking at him in shock. He just assumes it's because he was so awesome in the fight. Hey Sif and Sjo-fan. Thanks for watching after Volley. While I was battling, Naruto says with a grin. Both are looking at him with curious gazes. Naruto-kun, we weren't expecting you back for a while. What changed? Sjo-fan questions. Many gods and goddesses listen in, curious as to why he didn't sleep with Freya right then. Well, I heard there was going to be ramen, he says with a bright smile. So, where is it? When will it be ready? He questions, getting a gleam on insanity and hunger in his eye. Everyone that heard him is dumbfounded that he turned down Freya for ramen. It might be her first rejection ever. This is definitely going down in Nordic history. Freya, meanwhile, is drinking a glass of wine, appearing calm, though you can tell by the indentations of her golden chalice that she is angry. If ramen is coming, it won't be here for a while, Naruto Sif informs him. Naruto pouts at that as he is going to have to wait for his ramen. Hona comes up to him and gives him a mug of mead. Come my friend. Let us rejoice as you retell tales of your battle right now for all of us to hear, he says, pulling him away. Several of the goddesses watch him with lust, none more so than Freya. I just have to keep Freya away from him. I can do it, Vali repeats in her head. The lack of sleep is going to catch up with her sooner or later, however, and that is when Freya is going to strike. Patchling it simple. You merely have to have him get with another before Freya gets to him, Albion informs her, and Vali nods her head in agreement. It's genius. She looks directly to her left to where Stjofan is standing, and she sees the lust in her eyes as well. Walking up to her, Vali says, Hey Stjofan, why don't you go talk to him? Me? She questions with a blush on her face. I don't think that is a very good idea. I could draw Freya's ire. She may be the goddess of lust, beauty, love, and warfare, but she is also one of the most powerful gods in all of Norse mythology. Ollie turns back to Naruto, who went down with honor to the tables of the warriors, and is drinking, singing, and recounting with the rest of them. It seems he is very popular with the warriors as they now respect him for fighting against them and winning. In fact, several of the beautiful girl warriors are seemingly snuggling up to Naruto. She glances over at Freya, who still looks confident as she stares down her prey. And so, my watch begins. Vali thinks with a sigh. It's been hours, how many Vali doesn't know, of her just watching her sensei. She has conversed with Sif and Stjofan, both of whom she really likes, but she hasn't once dropped her guard. She can feel her eyes drooping though, so she needs something to happen fast, or she will have to take matters into her own hands. Their sensei is in the middle of recounting a story about the war he fought in, the warriors enthralled. Two women, each extremely beautiful by mortal and supernatural standards, are clinging to his sides. She can tell that he is drunk, as are the rest of them, with his speech not being completely coherent. It seems the fox is planning something as well. A couple minutes later, the two girls whisper something in Naruto's ear, who eagerly nods, and they all stand up together. Many of the warriors around him start shouting out encouragement and praise, causing him to blush and grin, while the girl warriors giggle. They each hold on to an arm as they drag him toward the doors of the bedrooms. Polly breathes a sigh of relief as it seems her sensei is in the clear from Freya. I am going to go get some rest now, she tells the two goddesses, each nodding their head. In her tiredness, she completely misses Freya's grin of victory. Freya watches as her prey goes back with two beautiful women. Any man would agree that they would be lucky to lay with one of them, let alone two. Yet, if they are compared to her, they look like trash that no one would touch with a 10-foot pole. They did, however, get that annoying little thorn out of her side, and so they should be commended for that. Said thorn just went to sleep, thinking that her beloved sensei is safe from her. Freya rolls her eyes at such a naive way of thinking. Naruto going back with two women means nothing to her. She will simply go back, kick them out of the room, and lay with him. She can't help it if he falls utterly in love with her afterwards and completely forgets about his students. It matters not to her. He is a simple plaything to pass the time. All men are. She gets up from the table and walks back to the bedrooms, with several of her fellow gods eyeing her. She cares not for what they think. She is more powerful than almost all of them, and has laid with most of them too. Many in the distant past. None were memorable. She opens the door to the room where she senses the three of them, with both girls already completely naked, making out with him as he fondles them. She can't blame them. She lusts after him too, after all. They all pause as they see her walk in with a smile on her face. You two get out, she says with authority. The two girls think about their options for a second, before extracting themselves from Naruto, grabbing their clothes, and running out of the room. Freya shuts the door, and adds a powerful barrier to it, in order to make sure they are not interrupted, and that he can't leave, before she has had her fill. Freya gains a gleam in her eye as she stares down Naruto, her eyes roaming his perfectly muscled body. She licks her lips as she flares her powers a bit, and her clothes disappear in a snap of her fingers. The drink Naruto smiles perversely at the goddess, though no blood leaves his nose, as his eyes roam her body. Freya walks over to him with a sway in her hips, and lies down directly on top of him. I hope you are ready, Naruto-kun, she says seductively as she traces a finger over his chest. Naruto responds by planting his lips to her as they begin hours of debauchery together. Inside Naruto, Kurama chuckles as it all went according to his plan. Ollie wakes up slowly, the warm embrace of the first sheets of slain animals try to drag her back to blissful land of dreams. She had a wonderful dream, where she finally beat her sensei in taijutsu, and he gave her a proud smile. She drags herself out of bed, her clothes ruffled from being slept in. She walks into the bathroom and takes a long shower to wake herself up. Using her magic to dry and clothe herself, she steps out of the room looking like she did when they entered through the gates of Valhalla. That feels like forever ago. I just want to go back to the forest and train with sensei, she admits to herself. She honestly doesn't care for all this partying and socializing. She likes seeing new places, but Freya is ruining this trip for her. She doesn't want to worry about her sensei leaving her. She doesn't want to feel the pain of loneliness again. Even at home with her mother, who tried to help her, but never stood up to her father, she felt alone. She opens the door back to the feast, seeing it going on in full swing. If anything, it has gotten even rowdier. She sees Auden grope of Valkyrie, something that doesn't surprise her at all. What's more, his wife Frigg is sitting next to him and doesn't look disturbed at all. She looks around for Naruto, but doesn't spot him. She frowns as it has definitely been a while. Maybe he is sleeping as well. It would make sense. If she fought that battle, she would have wanted to sleep for a week. She spots Sif, Stjofan, and Honor, all looking at her with some sympathy and pity. Confused, she walks up to them, seeing Honor chug his entire glass of mead and sigh afterward. She starts to worry as something must be wrong. "I am sorry, child. None of us wish to get on her bad side," Honor says with sorrow lacing his voice. She furrows her brow confused for a moment, before her eyes whiten in panic, and she looks around for Freya. Her pupils frantically scan everywhere, but the goddess of beauty is nowhere to be seen. But Sensei went back with 2 warriors. "I saw them," she says desperately, denying the truth in front of her. Stjofan bends down and hugs the child. "Sweetie, Freya doesn't care about that. After you went to bed, she simply went back there and kicked them out. They have been back there together for 16 hours, Stjofan says softly. Tears well up in Vali's eyes. Sensei will be alright, Vali says with resolutely. She has to believe he will be. She needs him to continue being her sensei. She doesn't want to be alone again. Maybe child. Who knows? Stjofan says comfortingly as she runs her fingers through Vali's hair, but it doesn't sound like she truly believes her words. They bring her over to a table and try to cheer her up, to no avail. She is grateful, but she doesn't want to hear anything they have to say. All she wants is to go home with her sensei. Home? I guess I really do consider it my home, Vali thinks sadly as she sips on some water. Even Albion doesn't give her any encouraging words. Vali looks out at all the warriors at the feast, and her eyebrows raise and her mouth opens slightly in shock as she sees several people having sex on the middle of the tables, to the loud cheers of the others. But warriors have always been very open with their desires and way of thinking. It is much different than the way of the world now, Sif says beside her. I really don't know much about the world, Vali says as she turns to Sif, who looks on at the display with a bit of a blush. Well, with the spread of the Christianity-Jewish-Muslim faction, many of the sexual liberties found in other societies was extinguished. Their God and angels believe having sex should only happen in loving, married couples, and the church ruthlessly squashed any other way of thinking, Stjofan informs her. Not to mention how they ruthlessly cut down our followers, burned our shrines, and forced their way of life on them, Sif says with some anger. None of the factions, opposed as the biblical God is extremely strong, more so than almost any of the other gods, and his angels are no joke either. We didn't make alliances with the fallen, and devil factions either, as they also didn't oppose what the church was doing. More territory for them operating, Honor adds in. Yes, my husband truly wanted to go to war with them, but Auden forbade it. It was a tense time, Sif says. It's why we don't openly talk to other factions, Stjofan finishes. Vali is fascinated by what they are telling her, so much so that she forgets about her sensei for a bit. She looks back at the warriors in the heat of passion, and a slight blush creeps onto her face. The door behind the table of the gods opens, and all the gods and goddesses are shocked at what they are seeing. Naruto looking tired, but with a huge smile on his face, and a confident swagger in his step. Sensei, Vali screams as she runs toward him, and hugs him with tears running down her face. Naruto, slightly confused, asks, "What's wrong, Vali-chan?" I thought that you might have left me," she says with sobs. Naruto ruffles her hair and says, "You don't have to worry about that, my apprentice. I promise to protect you and not leave you alone, right?" She nods her head, which is still buried into his stomach. Naruto looks up and still sees the shocked faces on the crowd. He picks up whispers of conversation. Impossible. His strength of will. How much power. Numerous murmurings of the same thing come from all of them, and many of the women look at him with lust in their eyes. Honestly, it reminds him of when he gained fangirls and is slightly freaking him out. Naruto walks over to the goddesses he met before, with Vali not letting go of his arm. He thinks her reaction is a little extreme. I mean, he only left for a bit. It isn't like he disappeared for weeks. As he approaches, he sees Honor looking at him in a bit of awe, Stjofan sporting a major blush, and Sif just has a surprised look on her face. "So, anyone want to tell me what this is all about?" he questions with a laugh. Seriously, some of the gazes are starting to weird him out. "You slept with Freya," Honor says. Vali grips him harder after she hears that. "So?" Naruto questions with a frown. "Dude, you slept with Freya," he just says louder. "Naruto-kun," Stjofan says, drawing his attention toward her, and her face turns redder. Sleeping with Freya almost always means that you become completely charmed by her. It's like her aura, only 100x more powerful. You basically become her slave plaything that cares for nothing else until she tires of you, and it takes decades for you to get over it. It's why Vali thought you were going to leave her. It takes someone of immense willpower and strength to not fall under her charms, or if they do, to pull themselves out. Even Auden, the man who was able to understand the runes of the fates through sheer willpower, was not able to completely pull himself out for a while. Naruto is shocked by the information. Thinking back on it, he definitely lost himself to lust for a bit, but that's just normal during sex with someone that beautiful, right? Who wouldn't want to ravish her? You also outlasted her. Honor says in awe. Yeah, Naruto says, embarrassed about talking about the sex he just had. That has never happened, Sif informs him. Naruto grins a bit when hearing that. One thing he can truly take pride in is that no one has the stamina to match him. Shadow Clone Jutsu for the win. To his gods, this is probably the most memorable thing that has happened in the past century, Sjo-fan says as she brushes her body up against Naruto. Not a single man in the 9 realms has accomplished that, and believe me, nearly all have tried. Naruto blanches a bit as that is a lot of men. Yes, he tries not to judge people, but it's hard not to when you hear something like that. Still, he can take pride in his accomplishments. Sensei, let's go home, Polly says as she pulls her hand and him away from Sjo-fan, much to his displeasure. He does like a beautiful girl rubbing up against him, just like any man. He is definitely not a pervert. But Volley-chan, don't you want to see more of the Asgard and the other realms? He questions. Volley deadpans. Honestly, Sensei, no. I want to train in the forest, just the two of us like it has been. Well, Naruto trails off. Please, Sensei, Volley says using her puppy eye no jutsu again, instantly destroying his resistance. Alright. Let's go at least say goodbye to Irojiji before we leave, Naruto says with a nod, getting a smile from Volley. You will eventually come back to see us, right Naruto-kun? Sjo-fan asks with a pout. Of course, I will. Naruto promises instantly. He really does want to come back and visit all the realms and maybe get in another battle. He really learned a lot. See you later, he says with a small wave as Volley is already dragging him toward Odin so that they can get back home. She doesn't want her sensei to be anywhere near Freya anymore. The gods laugh as they see him dragged away. Yo Irojiji. Naruto calls out, getting Odin's attention, and the Valkyrie he is harassing takes that moment to run away. Oh Naruto, my boy, I am honestly surprised to see you here. Thought you were goner, Odin says with a hearty chuckle. Naruto blushes a bit in embarrassment. Yeah, sorry about that Irojiji. Naruto says, hoping the All-Father isn't mad about him banging his wife. Odin waves his concerns away. It is a marriage in name only now. Nothing to be worried about. What do you think of Valhalla? He asks. It's awesome. Definitely a place I would want to go if I died, Naruto says honestly. He could honestly say this would be some shinobi's dream afterlife, like Zabuza. I am glad you think so. What do you think, little Lucifer? It's exhausting, Volley honestly says. Hahaha, for a young lady like you with her sensei here I bet it would be, Odin chuckles. Anyway Irojiji, thanks for letting us see this place, but Volley-chan wants to go home now. I promise to come back and visit. Naruto promises and Odin just nods his head. Yes, I can imagine why she wants to leave. And if you do, make sure to bring the next copy of Ichiichi. Odin says with a perverted grin. Naruto rolls his eyes as his magic circle activates underneath the two, transporting them away. Naruto and Volley appear in the middle of their house and Volley gives him a tight hug. Naruto, chuckling, returns it and says, tomorrow we are beginning your training once again. Volley looks up at her sensei, a bright smile on her face. Hi. A couple hours later, just before it is time for the baths, Freya walks back to the table of the gods. All of them look at her with confusion, shock, and intrigue as they want to know what happened behind closed doors with Uzumaki Naruto. Dressed in her attire from before, though her hair is tumbled and out of place, as if she hasn't bothered to fix herself up after having sex, she marches right up to Odin with determination plastered on her face and a gleam in her eye. She flares her power, getting everyone to instantly become quiet, and she turns to face Odin, who has a small look of confusion on his face. Odin, I want a divorce. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.